lovely Lauren Harris.
To our show. Hello there, Lauren. How you doing today?
And it was sort of her idea to for this year's calendar to kind of have everyone undressed.
Yeah, all the nakedness is Lauren Harris's.
Due to you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and the video portion of Lauren is awesome in our Totally Office calendar making of DVD.
It's funny, I'm glad in the video that you guys, both you and Nick, were left with the interview process, because you can't end up but looking like a jerk when you talk to Lauren, because you just get distracted. And so I end up looking brilliant because I wasn't there.
Now, we're used to seeing Lauren in a very glamorous state, in the photos and the videos that we have. But you are on a TV show, which airs tonight. It's on the CW Philly.
They're promoting the crap out of it.
It's called 13, Fear is Real. And I've seen just the little teaser of it. This is not you in a glamorous state.
No, not at all.
What is the show about?
The show is about 13 people who are kind of just dropped off in the woods. It's a cabin in the woods in Louisiana Bayou, and you're pretty much just faced with like your biggest fears. And you really go through these crazy eliminations and challenges and different rituals, and it's just really crazy because the place we're at is like really haunted.
Now, before you took on this, to be a contestant, I guess you call it, on this show, did you have any idea what was going to be happening?
Not really. When I went to casting, they they actually approached me, and
you were actually working you were tending bar, and somebody from the show came in and said, "We need that."
Yeah, they asked me to come and just like try out and go to one of the interviews, and I did. I'm not really a huge fan of reality TV, but they mentioned that it was like horror and scary, and I'm like really into that. So
right,
really?
I figured,
you're into movies,
I
but
love scary movies. I love being scared.
Wow.
So did they ask you what your fears were?
Not right away. It was kind of just like, do you enjoy scary movies? What are your favorite scary movies? Like, what are you scared of? All this stuff. And then each interview, each round, when I made it to the finals, they flew us out to LA, and I met with all the producers and all that stuff, and they were just like, well, what's your biggest fear? And I mean, my biggest fear is sharks.
Sharks?
Oh, me too.
Hard to get that in a cabin.
I know.
Yeah.
Sharks
Unless
and
you
wolves.
get a cabin shark.
Yeah, so they're like my two biggest fears. And I did say that. Everyone said their biggest fear.
Sharks and wolves?
Wolves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wolves are kind of, that's
scary.
all. They look like big dogs to me. But the sharks I can see. Now, Sam Raimi, who directed and wrote The Evil Dead,
yes,
which takes place in a cabin, and did all the Spider-Man movies, is one of the producers. Did you get to meet him?
No.
Okay. All right.
I met the other producer, I think, is Jay, right?
Okay.
From Survivor.
Okay.
He did
All right.
Survivor. So he was the one who we were in contact with.
I'm a little taken aback by her affinity for the horror stuff.
Yeah.
Do you like going to haunted houses and
Love
things
it.
like that? Really?
Oh, man.
We
Like
gotta take-
if it couldn't have been any better, she digs horror movies.
My boyfriend's real scared and closes his eyes. And I'm
he's a pussy.
running through there. No. But I'm just really into that. I've always been.
Is there a money prize for this reality show?
Yes.
Or there is.
$66,666.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I gotcha. So, all right. So they set you
Which
up.
actually, by the way, and I've seen the first episode.
Yeah.
Which actually, I don't think is enough for what they put them through.
Yeah,
I mean,
they put us through some crazy.
Because they send you into the deep bayou.
Yeah.
You're in. I mean, they show a sequence where you are. You guys are just bedding down in the cabin, and you have to sleep in mosquito nets.
We right before we left for the show, we had a huge meeting. I'm like, why are they looking at the floor? And I was like,
Casey, for those who are not in our studio, Casey snuck around very stealthily underneath the console and just went up and scared Lauren.
I loved it, though. I loved it.
That worked, man. You actually scared her. Good job. Well, I know that there are some things that you can and can't talk about, but can you tell the story about what happened to your head?
Yeah, that was off the show.
Right.
That had nothing to do with the show. So we were out in the woods, and there was a lot of poison ivy and poison sumac. Everyone on the show, I think, ended up getting it. But after when the show was finished, or whatever, I ended up getting it pretty bad on my arms, and I went to the doctor to get like a shot of like a steroid shot.
Yeah.
And I can't really take needles. I get really like anxiety and nervous. I can't take it.
Your biggest fear is a phlebotomist that's a wolf.
I'm not scared, but they just really hurt. So the guy tells me he has to stick it in my butt. So he's like,
Lauren,
that you just gave us audio gold.
Lauren.
All right.
that's what he said. So I had to stand
Now
up.
just let us breathe that in for a while.
Come on.
Like, I was expecting a shot in my arm or my hand, but he's like, all right, stand up. And I was like, stand up. And I had my bathing suit on. I came right from the pool. So I'm like, well, for what? He's like, well, the steroid shot, I had to stick it in your butt. I'm like,
Twice.
what? So I turned around, and he sticks me with the needle, and right away, I don't know if you ever had a steroid shot before. It was like a burning sensation. Like, it was like Tabasco sauce going through, like, your body. It was so hot.
Wow.
And I was, like, screaming. I'm like, stop. Like, I hate needles as it is. It was burning. It was really hurting me. And he's like, oh,
You're probably
we're
screaming,
almost done.
take it out of my butt.
Yeah. And this wasn't the doctor who was doing it. It was, like, his
a guy.
assistant or his nurse or whatever.
It was actually the water delivery man. Why does it say Culligan on your jersey?
So I was like, stop, I'm going to pass out. I can feel myself getting really hot and dizzy. So he's like, all right, well, why don't you just lay down? So he stopped giving me the shot, and he, like, kind of picked me up. My knees, like, gave out right away. I knew I was going to pass out. And
This
he
guy
laid
sounds
me
like a
down.
quack.
He laid me down on, like, you know, the doctor's table in, like, a doctor's office. And so he laid me down, and I was like, all right, everything's getting black. I'm warning you, I'm going to pass out. And he was like, okay, I'll be right back, and leaves me. Well, I must have blacked out, rolled off of the table, and it wasn't like a carpet floor. It was like a hospital, like an outpatient thing.
Yeah.
And I ended up I landed on my face, and I landed on my head first, and it bashed, like, my head in, and I ended up popping, like, blood vessels and all that stuff in my
I
head.
can see the scar.
You had like a gash in your head.
I had it was huge. Like, tissues were torn. Like, I was blacked out. I don't even know what happened.
By the way, this instant message says, I'm going to medical school now. Wow. Did you have to get any stitches?
Yeah, I had to get 3 layers of stitches, like, stitch up the vessel and then the tissue, and then.
Well, that's your bread. Listen, your face and your body obviously is your bread and butter there. I mean, are you doing any sort of legal action against this guy?
I also bruised my ribs too.
Wow.
So it was pretty bad. Yeah, I think so.
I think you need to, but you need to act on that.
My parents are, like, really upset about it.
Because despite what the doctor said, that sitting on your face treatment is not legitimate.
Well, the stitches that they actually stitched me up with were supposed to be dissolvable, and they never dissolved, and they actually pushed their way out, so I had to get them cut open again. Like, it was this long process.
Was this a Louisiana, was this Dr. Neer, your Bayou set?
Yeah, he was the doctor.
I'm sure he's top notch then, because, all doctors hope for one day to work in the Bayou.
It wasn't him that gave me the shot.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Some other
that's
guy.
messed up.
That is messed up.
And you can see that scar pretty clearly right there.
That's why she got bangs cut when she got back.
Remember I had these bangs?
Yeah.
Oh, horrible.
Oh, my
But
gosh.
they're, like, growing out, and now I just kind of lay them over there.
Well, the show is on tonight, and keep in mind, you never know. Lauren might be axed on the first episode, so I wouldn't miss out on it.
No, definitely check it out.
By the way, I got this instant message that says, hey, I love Lauren, but I'm going to call it now. She gets killed by a cougar in episode 5.
Like a still getting.
Yeah, like a still getting. That's right. Rest in peace.
And by the way, another instant message says the reason the doctor left the room was he was going to get his friend's camera. His friend's Aura camera.
I mean, stop and think about it. You're a guy working down like a Bayou doctor. Lauren Harris in a bathing suit shows up. Something that she requires is related to her ass.
Yeah.
The guy tells me he has to stick it in my butt.
That's fast.
Or
I have to stick it in your butt.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
Good one.
Come on back anytime.
Now, you do know that we'll have that forever, right? Okay.
Wow.